Well, good afternoon once again. Yesterday it was cold and rainy. Today it's absolutely beautiful, at least when I walked in here. I'll piggyback off of what was just asked, but first I want to recognize those that helped get this conference going and scheduling and everything else. Can you give a quick stand on who helped organize and all the logistics and everybody else? There we go. Everybody, how about Waldo one last time? Thank you, Waldo. Everybody knows these individuals have full-time jobs as well. Some of them have maybe 2 or 3 full-time jobs. Some of them are months within trying to respond to a major incident. So for those of us that here at Kansas State, I appreciate you. How about a show of vendors? Can our vendors show up? Because obviously you make it super important that we can do it. Yeah, Stan, go ahead, please. Thank you. We very much appreciate it. We couldn't do this without you, and obviously the development and free opportunity is really important. I know anybody from College of Business here, I know at least there's a few. I know there's a few in the back. Michael, are you here? Okay, he's in the control room. Let's give them a round of applause. And maybe one more time that they can pass along. So we want to be thankful to the Dean of the College of Business allowing us to use this great facility free of cost. So thank you very much. We appreciate that. And I'll sort of wrap it up in some interesting closing thoughts. These are sort of game time decisions. They often throw me up in front of here and then they smile and say, just do something, say something nice. So I've been in Kansas, I think, 8 months. Kansas is sort of the return to the Midwest for me. My parents were blue-collar employees. They worked up north. My job out of high school was supposed to be a mill operator. That's what the most highest paid job in the city was. Kansas has a very unique little business here. It's called Harry Epstein's. Anybody familiar with Harry Epstein's? Nobody. This is the cool thing about this. You're going to know about Harry. Harry Epstein's is a very old business. It's located in Kansas City, downtown. Very, very old tool supplier. I went to go visit Steve. Steve is the owner. I think he's 4th generation owner. I was there 4 weeks ago, visited. I walked in and said, Steve, I need your 8-inch black iodized crescent wrench. He goes, you're just my man. Let's go. It's a 4-story building, extremely old. Same building that's there forever. He takes me in the back, opens a drawer, hands it to me, says, this is the last remaining of the 67,000 black crescent wrenches that were made in the U.S. Then, you know what an IT person does? My team certainly knows what goes on. I go, Steve, I want to buy the biggest damn wrench you have. And he goes, anybody know what it is, by the way? Just throw out a size. 2 9/16. That's 35 pounds. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. My wife is out shopping. I don't care. So he takes me to the basement. He has the last 45 of those made in the U.S. And I said, Steve, how much is this thing? How much do you think it was? Not that much. My wife would have buried me 6 feet under. But don't worry, I learned, we know what happens. When I walked to the car when she picked me up, I said, honey, this thing was on sale. So we go to the basement. Steve looks at me and says, this is the wrenches. He asked me, could I do 2.5? Because 2.5 was a lot cheaper. And he had something like 950 of those. Clearly, people like big wrenches. People like me said, this is perfect. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it. He gives me the price, and I said, whoa, I'm going to have this as like a handout gift. Like, what are we going to do with this? Can you give me a discount? Right? You got to ask. And he looks at my shirt. He goes, you're with K-State. I said, absolutely. He goes, are you going to have it as a traveling gift on your campus? And I said, yes. He goes, for you, I'll sell to you for $100. In the box, brand new. So I walked out of there, and I draw some parallels to what we do. So one, think of where I was at probably 40-some years ago and what that market looked like as a tool and die maker up north and where we sat. Look at the roles we sit in today. You know, I talked to my team on Monday and sort of described my past 6 months as sitting at the top of a roller coaster looking down and having no idea what happens. But you asked the question about change, so I'll bring it back to change. We get on top of that roller coaster, or we go into the haunted house, whatever those thrills are, we have confidence because of what we know we're doing, right? It's the confidence of the operators, it's the confidence of the engineers, it's the confidence in the $180 park pass ticket that you just paid for, or $1,000 for a family, but we do it because we enjoy it. That's clearly what everybody here does. It's our goal to inspire that confidence as we continue to move our IT organizations forward. I tried to flash back 52 years ago, the first Czech conference was held. Think of that. Think of what that conversation was in here about inspiring that confidence. You got it. We can do it. There's a reason we have the big smiles on our faces. You know, not everything we do is fun. Not everything we do is easy, but the impact we make. Clearly, Steve made a connection with me. K-State made a connection with Steve. I hope what I can do is bridge that little gap of somebody that's returned back to the Midwest of, you now know who Harry Epstein is. You now know who Steve is. They have tons of YouTube videos. One last fun fact about Steve, and this is not a sales pitch, although I'd love to have him as a vendor here, and I bet he would show up. They do box art. So if you ever order a tool, and they pride themselves on the last American-made tools in the U.S., they buy them up. Many of those, believe it or not, are from Kansas. So you'll walk through 4 stores of this building, and you realize that many of these manufacturing organizations that have dried up, they bought the last remaining stock. But some number of years ago, somebody started to ask them when they'd write in their order, leave on the doorstep. They have this great YouTube channel, him and his dad do, or him and his son do actually now. But they will paint a box for whatever you want. So if you look it up, you'll get some humor out of that. But it goes back to some of the earlier questions. How do you make work fun? Clearly, they have that. Clearly, they're moving that legacy forward as much as they can. With that said, we're so thankful you're all here. We hope you had a wonderful time at Kansas State University. Thanks again to all of our partners that we've had the opportunity to reconnect. We'll see you next year. Pardon me.